The battle to be embraced as the best environmental choice for Ontario's power supply, while it's getting down and dirty. Fed up with wind farm sectors enjoying what it considers an undeserved reputation as a pristine energy supplier, Canada's nuke industry, they've launched a public relations assault against wind. Tom Adams, independent energy and environmental advisor, joins us now with the latest. Tom, the nuclear power industry, your friend, are we going to start seeing those old films, shown in classrooms that I remember from my elementary school days?
They've tried a lot of different, PR approaches over the years, but they've really got an issue here because for a long time they were, promoting themselves as the CO2-friendly solution for power supply.
There's no fossil fuels, there's no greenhouse gas emissions from nuclear power.
The wind guys came in and really grabbed the ring. So they promoted themselves as the greenhouse gas friendly solution. There's no nasty pollutants. It's just the nature blowing the wind and captured as electricity. So where the debate got in is the nuke guys pointing out that the wind power generators, because they're intermittent and they shut down often when you need the power, have to be backed up somehow. So there has to be some sort of fossil-fired power supply as the backup generators. And that's what the debate focuses on.
Ontario is the country's biggest power grid going on. And nuclear power is a big part of the makeup in this province. London Free Press did a story on this, and they looked at all of last year, and 59% of the power supply last year in the province came from nuclear power. If we can bring that up right there. So nuke's 59%, hydroelectric power, we all still call it hydro, but it's only 23.4, gas 11, wind's only 3.4. And then yesterday morning they looked as they were publishing the story, and yesterday morning, 8 a.m., wind 5.9%. Must have been a windy day, but nuke 65. And yet we're hearing that the wind government wants to be backing away from nuclear power in some way, either reducing it or who knows what. Maybe they're crazy enough to say get rid of it. They keep wanting to go more and more wind and solar. Is that an efficient, effective way to go for consumers?
Look, nuclear is the heavy lifter here on Ontario's power grid. It's about 60% of the supply. Nukes are getting close to the end of life. So actually, the province has got to make some decisions about how to keep these plants in operation. The wind power generators are just, like we see, a small portion of supply. And there are days where we need a lot of electricity and wind just doesn't show up for work at all. But the proposal to significantly increase the amount of wind portion, the portion of wind that's supplying our power, has really got a lot of political legs. The wind government has already committed to about doubling the existing supply. So by 2020, we'll have 3 times as much wind power as we've got today. Already, it's getting to be very problematic. The wind often blows when the customers need the power least.
At night?
Well, in the middle of the weekend, this kind of, the gifts of nature, don't supply when customers really need it the most. And that's caused already significant disruption for Ontario's power system. Of course, with enough money, you can solve any of those problems. But electricity customers, November 1st is going to be the next rate increase. It's going to be substantial. Electricity prices in Ontario are already the fastest growing in North America. We're not top of the charts just yet, but we're very close and closing in on top.
And yet we're going to have more of these ghastly things. I was in Kingston this summer. I couldn't believe what they've done to Wolfe Island, just off the shore of Kingston in Lake Ontario. It looks horrible now. It was a beautiful spot to go. Wolfe Island looks horrible. I remember flying into Europe a couple of years ago, and the hills around Scotland just filled with nothing but windmills. It's a ghastly sight, but it's still sold both to politicians and, I can tell you, in my kids' school curriculum as the good way to go.
Yeah, actually, you look through Ontario's school curriculum, and it's clear that the wind power industry has been very very thoughtful and aggressive in the way they do their propaganda. They are just everywhere. They're deeply embedded in the curriculum,
Well,
curriculum materials, tours, all kinds of stuff.
I can tell you that last night, my youngest daughter, Emma, came to me and said, Daddy, I'm afraid of hydroelectric power. They're studying power sources in grade 5 right now. And I thought, you're afraid of hydroelectric power? I've never heard that in my life. I thought she was going to tell me she was afraid of planes because I was getting on a plane the next day. And she said, well, we learned in school that dams can break and flood out people's homes. And I said, that doesn't really happen here. That happens in third world countries where they don't build things as well as we do. But this is in the curriculum.
Well, I mean, there's a lot more in the curriculum. Somebody needs to pay some attention to what's going on here. We ought to have an educational system that gives people balanced perspective. And allowing the kind of government propaganda to creep in is just not the way to go.
Do you think that, given all of this, given what the kids will learn, I mean, if that's what they're learning about hydroelectric, I'm afraid to ask her what she was learning about nuclear power. Do the other power suppliers, Bruce Power, which runs the Bruce nuclear plants, it's private now, I mean, do they have to be worried if the government is that political that they're putting this sort of garbage in the school curriculum, that they're devoted to going completely wind and solar in the future?
Once upon a time, the nuclear guys were very active in the educational curriculum, and they kind of that faded out. And now they just concentrate on trying to deliver kilowatt hours. And they do have a propaganda war that they've got to fight, and other power generators do as well. The debate over Ontario's electricity future is just going to heat up. Like I say, the nuclear plants are going to need some new investment. That's going to be contentious. The amount of trade that we do with electricity neighbors, that's going to be contentious.
It's more political than it is about providing us with power when we need it. All right. Tom, thanks so much.